One gray evening, the sky hung low like lead, and the desert wind screamed through the tent roofs. Inside Jacob's house, a small oil lamp flickered over hollow, tired faces. The jar of flour was almost empty. Children cried from hunger. The livestock were thin and weak. Every time Jacob looked into the empty grain storage, it felt like an invisible hand was squeezing his heart. If there were no more food, his whole family would not survive. But to get more grain, there was only one way left: return to Egypt. The powerful prime minister there had set a cruel condition. The next time they came, they had to bring Benjamin, the youngest son, whom Jacob loved most. When he heard that, it was like lightning struck Jacob's soul. Years ago, he had lost Joseph, the son of the wife he loved above all others. The blood-stained, multicolored coat from that day still haunted him. Benjamin, the youngest son who looked so much like Joseph, was the only living link to that precious memory. Standing at the doorway between life and death, I want to invite you to stay with this video until the very end, because behind one stolen silver cup is an entire strange plan. A plan to expose hidden guilt, to heal deep wounds, and to restore a family that seemed completely shattered. The famine went on. The sacks of grain they had brought back from Egypt last time grew lighter day by day. Jacob's sons looked at the skinny children and the staggering animals, and they understood that if their father did not give permission, the whole household would starve. Judah, who had grown up watching his father's grief for many years, stepped forward and spoke firmly to Jacob. "Father, that man in Egypt was very clear. If we do not take Benjamin with us, we will not be allowed to buy grain. If you keep him here, we will all die. I will put my own life on the line for him. I will be responsible for him." Jacob gripped his staff tightly. In his mind, images of Joseph flashed by the smile, the voice, then the coat soaked in blood. He looked over at Benjamin. The boy's eyes and the way he walked were frighteningly similar to Joseph's. The whole tent fell silent. Only the desert wind could be heard outside. At last, Jacob sighed deeply. "If it must be, then go. Take some gifts from our land and return the silver you found in your sacks last time. Take Benjamin with you. May God Almighty show you mercy, so that the man will release Simeon and Benjamin to you. And if I must lose my children again, then I will just have to bear it." Benjamin held his father's hand as tears rolled down his face. The next morning, when the red sun rose over the horizon, the brothers set out. Their shadows stretched long across the sand, as if the whole family was placing its fate on that road leading down to Egypt. This time, something made them even more uneasy. The steward of the prime minister did not lead them to the grain warehouses. He took them straight into the house. They whispered to one another. "Maybe it's about the silver from last time. Maybe they want an excuse to make us slaves." In a hurry, they explained that they had found the silver in their sacks and had brought it back to return it. The steward only smiled. "I have already received your silver. Maybe your God is the one who put that silver in your sacks. Now wash your feet and feed your donkeys. At noon, you will eat at my master's house." That news did not calm them. It only made them more nervous. When the time came, Joseph entered. He was the younger brother they had sold away years ago. But to his brothers, he was only a high official in rich robes. To Joseph, though, every face in front of him was carved into his heart. He asked about their elderly father. When he heard, "Our father is still alive and well," Joseph's eyes filled with tears. Then his gaze fell on Benjamin. The young man standing there was the younger brother from the same mother, the child who had still been just a little boy when Joseph was sold. Joseph spoke a blessing over Benjamin, then quickly left the room to hide his tears. When he came back, he ordered the meal to be served. The Egyptian sat at one table. Joseph sat at another table by himself. The brothers sat at a separate table. What made them shiver was this: the servants seated them in perfect order from the oldest to the youngest. During the meal, Joseph had Benjamin's portion made 5 times larger than the others. Slowly, the mood became more relaxed. Laughter and conversation filled the room. Many of the brothers began to think that all the trouble was finally over. But Joseph still carried one burning question in his heart. Years ago, out of jealousy, his brothers had sold him away. Now, with the risk of losing the youngest son, their father loved the most, what would they do? Joseph called the steward over and whispered his command. Fill their sacks with as much grain as they can carry. Put each man's silver back in the mouth of his sack, but take this silver cup and secretly place it in Benjamin's sack. The silver cup gleamed under the lamplight, small in size but heavy like a death sentence. That night, Egypt slept in silence. But in the darkness, an unseen plan was being woven together, not as revenge, but as a test to see whether his brothers' hearts had truly changed. The next morning, the brothers loaded the grain onto their donkeys, said goodbye, and left. They felt relieved. Simeon had been released. Benjamin was safe. Their sacks were full of grain. They did not know that behind them a patrol of riders was already getting ready to chase them. It did not take long before the thunder of hooves pounded the road. The steward and his men caught up and shouted, "Why have you stolen my master's silver cup? That is the cup he uses to drink from and to read omens. You have repaid his kindness with treachery." The accusation struck them like a bolt of lightning. They cried out, "My lord, we have not done such a thing. We even brought back the silver we found in our sacks. If any of us is found with that cup, let that one die, and the rest of us will become slaves to your master." The steward answered, "I will do as you have said, but with more mercy. The one who is found with the cup will stay and become my slave. The rest of you will be free to go." Then he began to search, sack by sack, starting with the oldest. The first sack, nothing. The second, nothing. The third, nothing. Each time they breathed a little easier. But when it was Benjamin's turn, a flash of silver suddenly appeared. The cup lay there, silent, yet loudly accusing them. Everyone froze. Then, in their despair, they tore their clothes, the ancient sign of deep, unbearable grief. They turned around and went back to Egypt. They knew that this time it was not just about food or freedom. It was about Benjamin's life and their father's heart. In front of Joseph, they fell with their faces to the ground. The prime minister looked at them and spoke in a cold voice. "What have you done? Did you really think I would not know?" Judah stepped forward. "My lord, we do not know what to say. God has exposed our guilt. Now we are all ready to stay as your slaves, not only the one who was found with the cup, but all of us." But Joseph replied, "No, only the one who has the cup will stay as my slave. The rest of you go back to your father." Those words cut into Judah's heart like a knife. He knew that if they returned home without Benjamin, their father would die from sorrow. He remembered the promise he had made. Gathering all his courage, Judah moved closer and spoke, "My lord, my father has 12 sons. One is gone. My father always says, 'Surely he has been torn to pieces.' Now his life is bound up with the life of this youngest son. When he let Benjamin go down to Egypt, he said, 'If he does not come back, I will die in misery.' It was I who guaranteed Benjamin's safety to my father. I said I would bring him home. If we go back without him, my father will die. So please, let me stay as your slave in place of the boy. Let Benjamin go home with my father." Those words pierced straight through Joseph's heart. He no longer saw the jealous young men from the past. He saw brothers who had learned to love, men who were willing to sacrifice themselves for their younger brother and for their father. Joseph could not hold back any longer. He shouted, "Everyone, leave us!" The servants hurried out until he was left alone with his brothers. As soon as the door closed, Joseph broke down and sobbed so loudly that people in the palace could hear him. Finally, he choked out the words, "I am Joseph, your brother, the one you sold into Egypt." The brothers stood frozen. Shame and guilt washed over them like a flood. They did not even dare to look up at him. But Joseph came closer, and his voice grew gentle. "Do not be afraid. Do not be distressed or angry with yourselves for selling me here. It was not really you who sent me to Egypt, but God. He sent me ahead of you to save many lives. This famine will continue for years. If I were not here, how would our family have grain to eat?" Then he threw his arms around Benjamin and wept. He embraced each of his brothers, and tears soaked their shoulders. Slowly, fear melted away, and a strange, overwhelming joy took its place. After so many years, a family that had seemed broken beyond repair was being brought back together. Joseph ordered carts and supplies to be prepared so his brothers could return and bring their father and the whole clan down to Egypt. That night, when his sons told the story, Jacob refused to believe them at first. But when he saw the carts and the gifts from Egypt, his old body trembled, and he said, "It is enough. My son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." A family once shattered by jealousy and lies was now stitched back together through famine, a silver cup, Judah's brave plea, and Joseph's forgiving heart. Behind every twist in the story was the quiet hand of God. He is the one who can take even our darkest failures and turn them into an ending filled with hope. If this story has touched your heart, please support the channel by hitting like, subscribing, and leaving a comment with your thoughts below. Every share and every comment from you helps this story of forgiveness and family reach more people. Thank you so much for joining me in preserving and passing on these faith-filled stories of hope.